Hey, it's Izzy Dakota Jones here with the Art of Duting podcast for 2022. And you know what? Tonight's a different show, or today's a different show, any way you want to, anytime you're watching it. We're going to be talking to bass player, songwriter Harvey Mack, and Harvey plays in my band, The Saints and Sinners, with me, and the Twitch, and he also has his own band, Horse Opera. And so you can check out Horse Opera sometimes, and he's with me in the Saints, and we hang out together in the Twitch. But anyway, we're not going to be talking about that kind of music or that subject matter today. We're going to be talking about he's a avid collector of vinyl records, and we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about our favorite vinyl records, like the first top five I have and top five he has. Talk about the songs on the album, the things we like about the album, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk, records, LPs, vinyl. That's what we're going to talk about. And so that's what's going to happen on this show tonight. And so stick around. I'll be phoning Mr. Harvey Mack here in a few minutes, and we'll have that conversation. And that's where we'll go from there. Hello. Hello.
Is this the party to who's calling me?
This is the party to who's calling you, yes.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up? What's happening?
Well, it's a sunny day in the city, and half the time in the city, the girls are so pretty.
And the girls are so pretty. That's a song, isn't it?
It is. It is. I didn't write it, though. I could have.
I think John Sebastian wrote that one, didn't he?
He did. And he didn't have anything to do with me whatsoever, so I don't think it's a great song at all.
No. He wrote that in 1965, I think. I'm probably lying, but he
had a band at that time that was actually doing okay.
Yeah, they did What a Day for a Daydream.
He did that. But
What a Day for a Daydreaming Boy. That's I like that one.
He said, "Darling, be home soon." He had, there's quite a few good songs. He was a man that was known for his auto harp.
Auto harp.
Songwriting.
Yeah.
And then in the 70s, he liked to wear tie-dye shirts.
He did. Late 60s, early. He played at Woodstock, didn't he?
He did.
He did, yes. And he did all kinds of interesting songs at Woodstock.
He also played at the Who concert in Anaheim in 1970 as well.
Oh, he opened up for the Who?
Yep.
Interesting. Yep. That must have been an interesting show.
It was. I saw that show because I've been around.
You've been around the block?
Yeah, been around, get around. I've been around.
Yeah. Let's talk favorite albums, Mr. Harv.
Well, that's just so many of those. I mean, where do you start?
Number one. Let's start with your number one.
That changes so much, but in the top, always on the desert island where I walk around and I've got to hear an album over more than one time. I think I would take the Who Sell Out. That was their third album.
Okay, and the Who Sell Out. Now, what songs? Which album was that? Now that's the third one.
That was the third album. The big hit off that particular album was "I Can See for Miles."
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah.
It was based on a concept of the Who Selling Out, because at that time they were doing a lot of radio commercials for different causes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they turned the concept into actually an LP, and so they sort of interspersed the songs, adverts in between the songs.
Oh.
Songs like Heinz Baked Beans, Rotos on Strings, Odo Rono, things like that. All the products of the day. So it was a tongue-in-cheek effort. Some critics said they didn't take it far enough, and some people said it was a bloody marvelous album. It wasn't their best-selling album initially, but it did pick up.
Yeah, because the first album was Happy Jack on the first album?
No, that was on the it was on the first North American album, but it wasn't on the first UK album, because the UK in those particular days did not put the singles on LPs. They figured you already bought them. So if you got a new UK album released in the United States, it would have different track listings, because they would drop one or two songs and put on the single. So Americans, Canadians, here's the single. You know what album's on. Come and get it.
Oh, okay. How about so just for off topic here for a second, the Who. I had the first album I had by the Who was I had Happy Jack, and then I had My Generation, where they're in front of
My
big.
Generation was their first album.
Okay, that's kind of R&B-ish almost, right?
Well, it was. They were still doing a lot of their covers. They called themselves Maximum R&B. And then the second album in North America was called Happy Jack, but in the UK it was called A Quick One.
Oh, okay.
And what they did, and they dropped I'm a Man off the UK album, and they put on Happy Jack for the UK, for the Canada and the US album.
Okay, so on the album that you were talking about, the third album with
Sell Out.
Yeah, Sell Out. Now, did Sell Out, beside having I Can See for Miles, what other songs were on there?
Well, there was actually interesting because if you look at some of the overtures on the second side of the album, you'll see sort of ideas that later on appeared on their Tommy album.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was like sort of sussing it out at that point in time. You know, like he had little songs called Royale and what have you, which were all based on a concept he was going towards again, which he sort of brought to fruition when he released Tommy.
Okay, and what would the album cover look like? If I remember correctly, didn't have them with the Heinz beans and all that on the cover.
Yeah, that was the Who Sell Out album. Had Heinz beans. They had Patrick Daltrey sitting in a vat of very cold beans, apparently.
Yes.
John Entwistle singing like a caveman, and he had two ladies on his side, or a lady on his side, and Keith Moon was sitting there with Odorono, which was like Clear as Salt for pimples, you know.
Yes, I remember all that. Yeah, now I remember that album. Yes.
Yeah, so it was a good concept. It was fun, you know.
Yeah. Okay, my first favorite album, I would say the Beatles' White Album.
That was an incredible album.
Yeah, and what I liked about that album, it had like tons of songs. Herds of songs, and I liked and I liked what you got inside too. You got like a big poster,
and you got those 4 photos,
and you got those 4 like 8x10s, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I mean, that was a great. I got that around Christmas time. That was a great Christmas present. I remember.
It was a great album. Yeah, like they released some good albums around November, December, and all that stuff. Like Rubber Soul was released around the time frame in different eras.
Yeah.
You know, they also Beatles for Sale came out, and which became Beatles 65 over here. You know, so
yeah.
So yeah, that was.
So
good.
what same? I guess the same songs on the White Album were. UK were the same in the US.
They all matched at that point. They started matching the albums matched starting with Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah. And I think that's on the White Album though. They were on Apple by then, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah, they were on Apple. That album was done with Apple.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's what I remember about that.
Actually, which is interesting that I recently, well, I won't say recently, a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when they re-released all the remastered Beatles albums on vinyl, because they came out several years ago on CD, but on vinyl, they released the White Album in stereo and mono.
Oh, okay.
Which I picked up because UK had mono, they had released it in mono, but North America did not. So it was a chance to get that album on mono. So, and it sounds killer.
Wow, cool.
You know,
cool.
Another favorite album I just played earlier today is an English band from Canterbury, I think it was, and they're called Caravan.
Mm-hmm.
And their first album is a keeper. I mean, I would play that on a jazz album, so that would be another favorite album.
So would that be number 2?
Well, I won't put them in any order because, like I say, it depends on
what band was that again?
It's called Caravan.
Caravan. Okay, anybody that we know in the band?
Not really. Nope.
And they're a UK band.
It's a band that's been around for centuries, you know, but they were also contemporaries of a band called Soft Machine and even Pink Floyd. So it was all along those type of bands. It was
okay. So it was
psych folk band
psych folk band. Okay.
Really trippy, but they've been around. They've released about 15 or 16 albums, and like I say,
wow, that's a long time.
They periodically get together and do it again. And then after a while, a couple of the members left and opened a band called Hatfield in the North, but it was the same kind of vibe. But Caravan was the main band, and they did some really trippy stuff. You know?
Really trippy stuff. Okay.
I mean, they had albums. They could like Cunning Stunts was one of their album titles. A great album. And they had If I Could Do It All Over Again, I'd Do It All Over You, sort of things. You know, so they were romantics, as you can see.
Interesting. So, and then if I was to pick a second album, I'm going to go with Led Zeppelin 1.
You got it. I'll share that one with you. That's so good. But and also take that one and also put Jeff Beck's Truth.
Oh, okay. So you're going to go to Truth. Okay.
Well, I'm going to use them both.
You're going to use them both.
I
guess there's no rules.
Huh?
I guess there's no rules in this.
Yeah.
So I mean,
came up with that, played a Master of Truth to Jimmy Page, and Jeff Beck was apparently quite annoyed when Jimmy Page came up with Led Zeppelin 1, which is basically based on the same format.
Yeah, sort of, I guess. I mean,
it was, and they have had a bit of a falling out over that. But Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page have played together in the Yardbirds.
Yeah. And I like Led Zeppelin 1 because I like the the covers, and like most of them were all covers, really. I mean, I think maybe Good Times, Bad Times, Communication Breakdown. How many more times was a mixture, but what's that other one on there? There's a couple.
Dazed and Confused. That was a Jake Holmes tune.
Yeah. That was there was that one, and there was.
Jimmy Page also performed that one with the last incarnation of Led Zeppelin, not Led Zeppelin, but Yardbirds too. So.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And how many more times? It's just a mixture of a bunch of old blues standards, basically.
Exactly.
You Shook Me, Willie Dixon, and I can't and what's the other one there? I'm trying to remember. Can't Quit You Babe is another Willie Dixon song. So they actually did 2 Willie Dixon songs on it.
Yeah, and they got nailed, and they finally had to give the proper artists the credits for what they did. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah. And then the Jeff Beck Truth album. I've got that album. The artwork on that one is quite interesting on the album cover too.
It is, yeah. He just, but he had that. That was Rod Stewart's second major band.
Yes.
In England, he was in a band called with Steve Packer, with Julie Driscoll and John Baldry. Mm-hmm. And then, but he was still shy when it came on when he went joined Jeff Beck, and he did 2 albums with them. Jeff Beck Truth and Beckola.
Yeah, he did Beckola, but Truth had.
And after that, he ended up joining the Faces.
Yeah, but Truth had. What did Truth have on it? Truth had.
Explorer was on that.
Yes.
You Shook Me. He had that other version of You Shook Me. It had Shape of Things.
Shape of Things is cool.
A number of things.
Didn't Truth also have a what's that cover song? I'm trying to remember something about waking up in the morning dew. Waking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because that was written by a Canadian girl by the name of Bonnie Dobson, and the first time I heard that was covered by the Grateful Dead on their first album.
Oh, interesting.
But then Jeff Beck did a version of it, and also Lulu out of the UK did a version of it. She had a pop hit with it as well.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a great song. Bonnie Dobson it was more of a folky song when she did it, and I mean a lot of people have covered that song, but like the first one, like I say, I heard was by the Grateful Dead.
Right.
So on their first album. So that brings me to another favorite album is their Anthem of the Sun, the second Grateful Dead album. I think I like that album quite a bit too.
Okay, and what is on that Grateful Dead album?
Well, there's nothing really that became a hit. It was just that with the Grateful Dead being themselves and jamming, and then they became more countrified when they went back into the American Rose after that. But, that second album was a combination of live and studio.
Yeah, so the album you just mentioned again, which was again what for listeners?
The second album, it was American Beauty. I think American Beauty it is called.
Is that the one?
Anthem of the Sun.
That's what I mean. You like. Yeah. And so it was more free flowing and jamming. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, big time. And how it was produced and put together, and they stitched the live performances into studio tracks, and it was a well done album. So I like that quite a bit.
Okay.
And then that leads me to my first favorite Pink Floyd album was still the first one with Syd Barrett.
Oh, okay.
At the Gates of Dawn.
What was that? The Gates of what?
Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Oh, okay. Very psychedelic.
Well, and that was the first Pink Floyd album. Interestingly enough, that the American version of it is different from the Canadian and the British, because the Canadian album was the same as the UK album, but the Americans dropped 3 or 4 songs and added a couple of hits like See Emily Play and stuff like that, which were singles in the UK. And
okay.
Lane didn't appear on it at all, which is a single. And that's the first Pink Floyd single I ever bought.
Wow. Okay, and my third album, did I say 3? Yeah, this would be 3 for me. What did I? Oh yeah, I like we call it the Rolling Stones album, the one with the with them on the cover, and it's got that weird 3D. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
The Satanic Majesties.
That's the one. I like that one because I like There's a bunch of songs on there I really like. I like a.
In Another Land.
Yeah.
2000 Years from Home.
That one I love too. Yeah. That's a favorite album of mine because it's kind of different for the Stones. It's kind of like a departure, right? They're getting more into psychedelic and they're into the Morocco scene at the time, right?
Big time. And also the Beatles were coming up with Sgt. Pepper, so they thought they could do their version of it too.
Yeah, their kind of psychedelic version of that. Yeah.
Funny enough, that's the Stones themselves. That's their least favorite LP. But like, I'm with you. I like that album. It evokes an era, and it's just sort of trippy.
Yeah, I think it's a great album. I think it's kind of experimental for those guys, right?
It was.
Yeah.
And for the Rolling Stones, one of the players that they had before he sort of lost the plot was Brian Jones, because he could pick up anything and make noise out of it, and make music out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was good for the innovator, and he was good for a texture, but he was not a really good songwriter, and that was one of his shortcomings. And he sort of got overshadowed by the Glimmer Twins.
Yeah.
But,
Keith and Mick.
But then by the same token, he did some really trippy stuff, and even Bill Wyman on his stuff. He came down because Bill Wyman complained he had wee hands, so he couldn't always play the bass notes he wanted to play. So he sat on the floor and on his hands and knees and played pedal organ pedals for a couple of songs too, just for the effect.
Wow, interesting.
So it was innovative. But I'm a fan of the Stones of all the Decca years. I mean, I don't think they did a bad album in the Decca period. They started getting more loosely in rock and roll after that. And, of course, they came into their own. So obviously they were doing something right. But if you listen to those early R&B performances of the Rolling Stones, they're magic. They just cook. You could see why they were big.
Yeah.
And basically at such a young year. But starting from Beggars Banquet 4, they were changing their whole vibe, and it paid off for them. That's for sure. I mean, they just finished doing a tour, so obviously they did something right.
Yeah, and then my fourth favorite album, I know you probably like this album, Disraeli Gears.
Always like that. I just actually played that yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn a song for the band I'm in, So I've been playing it not quite right, but I'm working on it. But it's on Disraeli Gears, and there's really not a bad tune on it.
No, there's everything on it. I mean, it's got huge hits. I mean,
I'm a big fan of Fresh Cream too.
Mm-hmm.
The first album, I think that's a great album. I mean,
I do too, but I like this.
It's like a November album. It came
out. Yeah. I like Disraeli Gears because I also like it for the album cover. The album cover is brilliant. Very, very, very artsy. It's a very artsy album cover, and then I mean, Sunshine of Your Love. What can you do wrong with that? And the way they took Hey Lottie Mama and it turned into Strange Brew.
Exactly.
And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Swabbler. And I think the song you're talking about is Tales of Brave Ulysses.
Yep.
And there's tons of stuff, right?
Yes, yeah. They were starting to create. Their trouble was that the Stigwood who managed them kept them on the road because he figured it was pop music, and pop music could be exploded in 5 minutes. So you were out there, then it was done. So he wanted to monetize as much as possible. So they couldn't sit down and write, and that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and then of course they probably became frustrated after a while because although they jammed a lot, they were quite the jam band.
Well, they
right?
did it on stage, and sometimes it worked as like any other musician, but that evoked because they started doing that because they didn't have the songs. They wanted more songs, and they just didn't have time to put them together.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. The guy he just made money off them. That's all he did, right?
Well, very well. His primary at that time was the Bee Gees, and early Bee Gees I can understand because they wrote some incredible pop songs.
Yeah.
I wasn't as big a fan of the disco era, but they made a lot of money in the disco eras. But the early pop songs like New York Went Disaster and I Can't See Nobody and they were a good pop band.
Oh yeah, they definitely were. Yeah. What's your one? Name another album you like?
Let me see. I'm a big Primal Scream album. It was a Scottish band. It's about 20 years old, and I like most of their stuff too. But if we were going to pick one, I would probably pick their Live in Tokyo. It's got a covering of almost a lot of their albums. They've got songs from that, all that stuff. They're basically when they change from album to album. They go to dance one time, they'll do rock and roll another time, they'll do modern pop, and they just keyboardish. And Manny from the Stone Roses played bass for a while, and they started writing reams like Straussy Dies, and so they're bands that can still play Glastonbury and get a big crowd. So that's and another one from the same era would be a band called James. I like them quite a bit too, and they're out of the UK.
Yeah.
And then the charlatans UK. So I mean, like my tastes go backwards, forwards, and in between sort of thing. I find the least amount of bands I really, really dug, although there's a lot of them I did like. It was in the 80s, but one band out of the 80s I liked was the Divinyls from Australia, and they released about 6 albums too. But their big hit was "I Touched Myself." That made them put them on the map here.
Didn't that girl do that song?
Yeah, Christy Amplet, her name was.
Gorgeous girl. Gorgeous girl.
She, but their whole album, if you listen to their album, they were like a rock punk band.
Yeah.
But they were really good at what they did.
Yeah, interesting.
So I won't say that I put their albums on my top 10 list, but I would not turn them off if they came on the radio, and if I had to pull an album on, I'd play that one too. So
yeah.
Okay, that's what I said. To ask me about favorite albums, there is so many of them that it's hard to pick one. It depends what mood. One day you're in the mood for Joni Mitchell, another day you're in the mood for 9 Inch Nails. I mean, how do you change it around? You can't.
So your favorite Joni Mitchell album then?
I'm kind of a fan of Don Juan's Reckless Daughter, only because I like the fact that how well it was recorded and the songs were cool, and I like listening to Jaco Pastorius, and he was playing a marvelous bass on that.
Yeah.
So I would think that would be in my list, and also her first couple in Blue. Everybody seems to like Blue.
Yeah.
And Clouds, and like I remember Big Yellow Taxi. That was good, but
yeah.
As she older she got, the more mature she got, and more interesting her arrangements were. But she's always been a really, really good, talented songwriter and singer.
Oh yeah, she's quite good at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then another early favorite. The first bunch of Gordon Lightfoot albums, just up to and including If You Could Read My Mind, it's called now, but at that time it wasn't called that. But when it changed over from United Artists to Reprise, I still like this stuff. But those United Artists albums were really, really good. That's where he was coming into his own and doing some really incredible songs. So pick any of those Gordon Lightfoot songs. If You Could Read My Mind was on Reprise, so that was his first after his label change.
I like that song, Black Dog in July, Black Day in July.
That was all United Artists. United Artists.
Yeah. And I wonder, was he big in the U.S.? I know he's big in Canada.
He was starting to. Yeah, he was still. A lot of. It was like Dylan, where a lot of other writers picked up his songs. A lot of singers picked up his songs.
Yeah. A lot of people did that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but he wasn't. He never claimed to be a Dylan. He was more. A lot of stuff came out of Nashville that he picked it up first. But Ian and Sylvia had hits with his songs, and a few other people, but most of it's all. But he started singing his own stuff with his little trio, and it was really, really well done. I mean, my favorite. I saw him several times, but one of my favorite shows was I saw him at the Carnegie Hall. I was in New York, and he was playing, and I bought 2 tickets to take a girl, and last minute she said, no, she's not going to go, so I just went there and myself anyway, and I had a better time than I would have probably if I'd been with her.
There you go.
Hey-ho,
yeah.
That's what I get for being shallow.
Yeah. One of my other favorite albums I have, I don't know if you got it or you heard of it, well, you probably heard of it, I don't know if you got it, is Fathers and Sons, and it's Muddy Waters album.
Oh, Muddy Waters, I don't think he's ever recorded a bad album.
Yeah, and on Fathers and Sons, he's got all these special guests with him, so he's got, I think, he's got Willie Dixon playing on it, he's got, he's got people like Paul Butterfield and all kinds of people like that too. Oh, another album I like bluesy like that is the Paul Butterfield Blues Band album, right?
Oh, they're good. Yeah.
Yeah, that album is really good with Michael Bloomfield on it.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great album, but I like Fathers and Sons too because Fathers and Sons just got all these really great classic songs. It's a double album too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you just triggered another favorite album that for me would be Desert Island was Blues Project and their album called Projections.
Okay.
And that they did covered like Shows Going Home, Steve's song, The Flute Thing, and that was Al Cooper was in that band.
Okay.
And he was in that one before he put together Blood, Sweat, and Tears. But,
Okay.
Yeah. He was a part of that, and Danny Calvin. Eventually he morphed into a band called C Train, but they, as Blues Project, I think they released about 2 or 3 studio albums, but they released a few live albums too. But they were another really top band of that era. That would be late 60s, 67.
Yeah.
But there seemed to be such a proliferation of such good artists coming out there and diverse. are you this band? Are you this band? Whereas early radio, they would play it all. One minute you'd listen to a Supreme song, the next minute you're listen to a Muddy Waters song, the next thing you know you listen to Wayne Newton. They all made the playlist. So exposed to a diverse amount of music.
But I think the '60s, there was a lot of that, right? I think I mean, you could listen on the radio back then, and I mean, lots of stuff was pop, but I mean, or rock and rock and roll, or whatever you want to call it at that point. But in the '60s and '70s, you had, I think the radio was quite diverse. I think only in about mid '70s when disco sort of started coming in and being very popular, I think then everything started going into categories, right?
Yeah. But there's a couple of guys here that post the weekly charts from Vancouver radio and Seattle radio, and of course, but there's sites you can go to and you get charts from all the eras. The weekly charts, because I remember as a kid going down, going to the record stores to pick up the weekly charts and see who was number one, who was this, all that. And then because you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have the internet, you had to sort of suss out the music yourself. If you read an article, you said that sounds district, and then you go to your little mom and pop store and say, "Can I get this record?" They order in for you. I mean, that's how I got my early Who albums, because no one had ever heard of the Who over here. They didn't make it big. That's why I got my Pink Floyd albums, because no one had heard of that. And but yeah, and another band I liked quite a bit evolved out of a band called the Zombies. Rod Argent put together a band called Argent.
Argent, yeah.
And they did a series of 5 albums, and their first and third albums are still my favorite albums. The first one had a song that was later covered by Three Dog Night called Liar.
Right.
And then the third one had Hold Your Head Up, which is big for them.
Yeah, Hold Your Head Up.
About the same time they wrote Time of the Season in the Zombies. And then another one, they had God Gave Rock and Roll to You, which was also covered by Kiss.
Oh, God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Yeah, they covered that? I just thought Kiss wrote that.
They wrote it.
They wrote it?
Yeah, it wasn't a Kiss song. It was a Russ, I think it was a Russ Ballard or a Rod Argent song.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because that's a very good song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, and what's the name did a good version of that. Kiss actually did a good job of that one.
There's no doubt they did. And Three Dog Night did a good job of Liar too. But
yeah.
And then Badfinger came out. That was beautiful harmonies in that band.
Yeah. That was a fun band to watch too.
But yeah, and Allman Brothers. I'm a big fan of the Allman Brothers.
So what's your favorite Allman Brothers? I like the live album.
I like I like the Fillmore, and then they've also got their first albums were good anyway. I mean, Dreams I've Never Seen was later covered by Molly Hatchet, and they had a hit with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If you're going to go to the country rock,
or Eat a Peach is another one.
Well, yeah, that came out. Unfortunately, that was based because that's exactly what happened to Dwayne. When he hit a truck.
Hit a truck, a peach truck.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why they said eat a peach, right?
Yeah. So, but like I said, we're stressing mostly their early day albums, but because they were easy to come out on vinyl
vinyl. That's when vinyl was great, and album covers were very good, right?
You could pick it up there without a magnifying glass.
And I think people back then, me myself too. Sometimes I would just look at album covers, go into the store and look at album covers. I mean, what's that one album King Crimson had? It was a great album cover.
The first one was in the Court of Crimson Cream with that first one. The singer on that band was Greg Lake.
Yeah.
He went on to join Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
That's right. That was great. That was great.
And then Boz Burrell played bass for it, and he had to be top bass, and he went on to join Bad Company.
There you go.
And he played a fretless bass all through the Bad Company days too.
Yeah.
With King Crimson, almost every album was different because Robert Fripp changed his band every album pretty much.
Yeah, so different influences and stuff.
Yeah, and now his bands have been pretty well stabilized, but in those early days, the album, record an album, fire everybody, record an album, fire everybody, so yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's a good album cover too. Blind Faith, another shorter band, was actually a really good band.
And Blind Faith, I've seen Blind Faith live, but did they have 2 albums or one? They had the one and they had the 2 covers.
Yeah. They won the naughty, what they considered the naughty cover.
Yeah.
They had a caricature of a prepossessed young girl with showing her chest, and then the other one was just them sitting on. Well, actually, they had 3 covers because the one in England was different from the one they released in Canada and the U.S.
Yes.
So I got to see. Well, I was lucky. I got to see Yardbirds. I got to see Cream. I got to see Blind Faith. I got to see Delaney and Bond. Not Delaney, but Derek and the Dominoes.
Yeah, I saw Delaney and Bonnie.
And I think that's the last time I bothered with Eric Clapton as far as going to see him.
Yeah, I seen Delaney and Bonnie with, who did I see them with? I seen them with Blind Faith. That's right.
With Blind Faith, yes.
Yeah, that was a good show.
It was a great show.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say no to a lot.
Oh, another album cover I like, I don't know if you like, is Frank Zappa, Hot Rats.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very cool cover.
Yeah. I went to school with one of his players.
You did?
Yeah, in grade 10, and I went to school with his well, I'd say mid-period guitar players, Yeah. So, I mean, that was way back when, and he had a local band, and he got picked up, and then he came up with his own single band, and, Lucille really messed up my mind.
And then, another album I like, too, just coming to all that around that period of time, too, is I like Johnny Winter's Second Winter. That's a really good album.
That was a great album.
There's only 3 albums in that one side.
The 3 sides. Yeah.
3 sides, they didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
Finished the 4th off. And then I like both Hendrix Are You Experienced album cover and the album, of course. And I like Electric Ladyland. That's another cool album, too.
Oh, yeah. It's a great album. He did 3 with the Experience, and the rest of them he did on himself with experimentations, but still it was good.
Yeah.
Interesting guitar player, interesting man. I mean, who knows where he would have been if he'd stayed alive.
Yeah.
He was one of those artists that he was getting better and diverse. He again was trapped in with management that wanted him on the road because he was making money, and he just wanted to spend some time in the studio. But how he made the money was selling records, and to do that he had to go on the road to promote the records. So it was a vicious circle for him.
Yeah, it was.
It's not like these days you don't have to worry about it because there's no money for touring, there's no money for anything else. So you just sit home and just put it on the internet and say, "Oh, okay, I'm done."
There you go. You see what happens from there.
But there's a lot of good bands coming out here, and what is interesting is because there's no more really record labels anymore. So these bands are going back to doing it yourself promotion, and there's some bands that are coming that are really, really good. That's all sorts of genres. So I mean, you can't really say, "Oh, music's dead," because it's not. You've got some really, really talented people.
It's what when I was talking to Jay. Jay told me what's happening to the music industry is technology is taking over. That's what's happening.
Well, it started doing that. I mean,
Jay says that's where it's going because technology is moving in, and it's the new revolution for music, right?
Yeah, as long as it's being music made, and I'm not going to complain about it because as long as we get to go out there and play music, I'm okay with that. But there's so many different local artists, and I mean, our town alone's got an amazing amount of talent in it, but you can say that about almost any town. Los Angeles has got its own vibe, Seattle's got its own scene, Toronto's got its own scene, New York's got its own scene. London's a little bit interesting because it used to be the music capital of Europe at one time, and it's not quite so much anymore, but you still get some cool bands coming with the UK, and I still find a lot of those UK bands really totally interesting.
Yeah.
The ones that don't fall in the trap that they have to sound like whatever. But you listen to some of the newer artists. Well, I won't say she's new now; she's been around for a while. But I don't always like her tunes, but I think artists like Pink are amazing, and Christina Aguilera has got an incredible set of pipes and that. And so there's replacements for the old school girls because the new schools are coming through. Beth Hart came through, and she's talking about blues guys, and she had her own issues and came up through the ranks. But now she's singing with Joe Bonamassa, she sings with Jeff Beck, she sings with whomever, and she has her own trips happening too. So that she's got a very distinct voice, and she's in her 40s, 50s, I think. I can't recall, but yeah. But to bring it out there with those, so you're getting the old school, the new school. They're all sort of intertwining now. So there's a lot of good music. So
yeah, there is.
I can go through a collection of my CDs and probably pick up on another 10 or 12 perfect albums that I would say these are favorite albums, and they're all made within the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, there you go.
But like what we talk about, because we're of that age, the old classic albums, now it's just, I find it's very interesting because it has influenced so many of the newer stuff.
Yeah, and I think also, like I was saying, you got back in the days when you got the album covers, you got plus you got a great album cover, a great bunch of songs, and you always got something in there with it, right? You always had little things, posters, and all kinds of stuff back then, right?
Well, the packaging was a lot more
Yeah, the packaging was great, right?
Yeah, so, you get little posters, you get lyric sheets. I think the Beatles were the first one to put lyrics on the album. And the record companies didn't like that because or the publishing companies didn't like that because they used to make their dough out of, go buy the songbook if you want the lyrics. You know?
Yeah.
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 But as far as collecting records, I mean, it's fun, and you get to know the various labels. You get to know the older ones, the newer ones, and that. And a lot of these people are buying older stuff as a new releases on the 180 gram or 200 gram vinyl, which is nice. But sometimes it's they don't have as many options they used to have for vinyl. So sometimes you pick up something that's not, you spend a lot of money on it, and it sounds like crap because the vinyl's not that good.
Yeah.
And that was always the case. But you had more variety. Like there were so many different plants, different pressing plants, different sources of their vinyl, because every vinyl maker had its own mixture, etc. But if you're talking about collecting records, most people will go to the thieves markets, the charity shops, and the stores, because if you could buy a reissue of Hendrix as a good example, that the box set on Hawaii and Maui, that was like $60. Where if you got the early version of it, A, the tape is fresher, and B, it's at the time it was like $5.95.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So they try to make it different. But like I say, part of it is the tape. Look what they did with the Beatles. It took them 3 years to get that tape ready.
Yeah.
And bring it up to snuff. So it was able to be released, and they did a phenomenal job. So I mean, a lot of these release companies, like Columbia has for a while had put up all their gave these little side firms. Here's a catalog. You bring it out when you want to, because the big record companies don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, there's no money in that anymore.
Well, there is money, but that's the whole point. So they job it out, but they don't have the people or the expertise, because when they started to consolidate and become corporations as opposed to record companies, they got rid of all the people that had any artistic bent. I mean, they had trouble finding people who could run a machine or could do this or they could do that, because they had fired them all. They wanted marketers, or they wanted this and they wanted that, but it had nothing to do with the record business.
Yeah, there you go.
It had everything to do with maximizing profits, and as a corporation, I mean, Seagram's bought how many labels,
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, Jelly Bean.
Yeah.
I get you. Well, I want to thank you, Harv. That was fun.
Yeah, it was, but like I say, there's so many records. We should do this more than one time, because there's...
Oh, we're going to do it again.
There's more records I could do.
Okay, we'll do that again.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
And I know several people who do go out of their way, and they own stores, and they collect records, and they sell records and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a dying art, but it's still out there.
It is. All right, Harv. I'll talk to you later. I'll call you later.
I'll be around somewhere.
Okay. That's Harvey, everybody. Bye. Okay, that was Harvey Mack, everybody. Bass player, songwriter, vinyl collector, which we talked. And we'll talk to Harvey again before the year's out. Do another one. All right? I'd like to thank everybody for checking it out. This is Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing podcast for 2022. Peace out and all that good shit. And we'll see you later. Bye for now. Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing podcast 2022. I got a really interesting person to interview today. He comes from Brazil, Caio. Caio. And Caio comes from Brazil. He's a DJ, and he's also not only a DJ, he's a graphic designer. But we're going to talk to him first about music, because that's what I like talking about. We're going to talk about DJing and sounds and beats and rhythms and stuff, and where he gets all that groovy juices and starts to put it out there. And we're going to also talk to him about his graphic design stuff too, because it's all part of art and the art of doing. So we're going to do that and hang in there. So we'll be talking to Caio in a little bit. And in the meantime, you know what? Another guy that comes to the shows, has done 2 of my podcasts in the art of doing over the last 4 years, is Brian Holden. A great guitar player, blues singer, songwriter in Vancouver. He's got a brand new CD out. Can you see that CD? Yes, it's a Brian Holden band CD. It's brand new, and you got to check it out. So, check out the CD. I'll find out next time where you can get it. I got one, and I think you should get one too. All right, so this is Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing podcast for 2022. We'll be talking to you in a few minutes. Stick around. Interesting conversation.
Hello.
Hey, it's Joe here.
How's it going?
Not bad. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good. Just finished at the Bean. Just got home.
Oh, right on. Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's do this interview.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So let's. I got the camera. I mean, and the video. Not the camera. I mean, I got the everything going, the recorder going, and all that. So let's talk right off the top. Let's talk about DJing because you were doing that earlier today when I popped in for a coffee. So
yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about how long you've been doing that for.
I've been DJing more or less for like 8 years actually.
Wow, that's a while now. Yeah.
Yeah. DJ is a thing that has been going on in my life for over like 15 years. I'm gonna be 30 in 2 months.
Right.
So since I was like 15, 16, I discovered electronic music.
Right.
The true electronic music, not just radio stuff, like actually like real producers, you know, like good music, and I was just in love with it.
Right.
So I started going to events, I started producing events, I started like working on doing art for events and getting involved in the industry, and just getting, you know, more involved with that and amazed. You know, I think it's so big right now.
Yeah, it's huge right now. Yeah, it's really huge.
And it's kind of endless, right? Like,
yeah.
So many things involved, and I love doing it.
So where did you get what draws you into it? Do you like the rhythms, the beats first, or the sounds, or does it explain to me how you get the process to get what you want?
Yeah, so basically since I started like going to events, I was more like behind the scenes, like the backstage kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not DJing or anything, just learning and watching. So I always tell people that ask me about DJing, hey, what is it and how do you do it? And it's like, dude, like DJing, it's mood.
Right.
It's literally mood. It's like if you're DJing something and your audience is not, you know, involved, it's not dancing, they're not pumped up, you know, you got to go for something faster, you got to go for something louder, you know, you got to put some vocals there. So I try to always make fusions, you know, like today I was doing some Afrobeat with some songs that we play at the Bean, like some melodic and some house music.
Right.
So, like very, very groovy beats, you know?
Yeah.
It's mood, right? There's no age, there's no color, there's no, you know, if you like music in general, I think you're going to appreciate, you know, electronic music.
That's right. So basic.
Umbrella.
Yeah. So you get the grooves and the beats going, and then you develop the rest of it around that. Am I right? That's what you do?
Exactly. It's more like an improvisation thing.
Right. Yeah.
I play lists on the side, and then I just feel the mood of people, and I pick and choose the songs, and I mix it in. I don't have anything preset. I don't use samples. It's literally like just throwing songs out there and then seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
That's literally how I like to
how you approach it. Yeah. So basically when you approach it like that, I mean, you develop your shows are never the same. Basically, they're different every time, right?
Pretty much, yes. That's basically what it is. It's the thing with electronic music is that there's always something to expect, right? Other than like a band that has like that album and you know the songs, you know, 1 to 10, that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, electronic music is just like you can make so many different fusions. I can like put some house music and DJs like some The Doors or DJ some jazz, you know, like Frank Sinatra kind of thing. So people wouldn't expect that.
Right. Get you.
So
Right.
Yeah, I can play with the vocals. I can play with the sounds, with the the famous like little samples, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of a famous song. So yeah, it's freedom basically, right?
Yeah. So when you're doing all that, so basically when you're doing all that, you're experimenting with stuff like that. Gear. What kind of gear do you use? Because I've seen a lot of DJs stuff, but I've never seen what they use for gear. So what's important as far as gear goes?
So basically, for what I do like small events. I do birthday parties, like weddings, corporate events.
Yeah.
So what I have is what I DJ at home. It's very compact, and I think it's enough for me now because I don't do festivals and big parties.
Yeah.
So I have a controller DJ other than a CDJ.
Right.
So a controller DJ, you call a DDJ. The model of mine is a DDJ 1000 by Pioneer.
Right.
And it runs in the Rekordbox app. So basically all the DJs, even like the ones that DJs in the big festivals, they use Rekordbox to export their songs,
right,
to set up their hot cues, you know what I mean, to make sure the songs are in good quality. They fix all the keys and the timing of all the hot points of the tracks and stuff. So they export and they can take their pen drive to DJ basically in any other CDJs, right?
Right.
That's basically what I do. I bring my equipment, my computer, and my controller, so that way it's easier for me to basically be able to DJ anywhere.
Yeah, basically you can go anywhere, can't you?
Literally I can go anywhere. Like it's portable, it's light. I can just carry it around, and for me it's convenient. It's fun. I have no problem carrying my computer around. It's
Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Have you ever decided you're ever going to record any of it? And release any music that you do? Do you record the shows at all?
Yes and no. So basically, let's say today at the Bean, I DJ literally for 4 hours. 5 hours.
Wow.
Right? So for me to record that would be too long.
Yeah.
I've recorded a few sets as a demo to people that might hire me for a show.
Yeah.
So I do that, but I do not produce. I don't produce beat. I don't produce music. What I do is I buy music and I played those songs.
Right. Gotcha. Have you ever thought of doing? Have you ever?
I'm a supporter DJ.
Yeah.
I support the artist.
Yeah. Right. Have you ever thought of doing that yourself though?
I did, but yeah, it's hard these days. I'm focused in my design career.
Right.
I think for you to be a producer, you gotta live that profession, and it takes up too much time.
Right.
It's a lot of effort. It's not easy. It's really fun, but it's not easy.
Right. Gotcha.
It really requires lots and lots of time.
Yeah.
To produce good stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what you just brought up too about your other thing that you do, your design, right? Yeah. What do you do there? How does that? What do you do there in your designing and everything?
So I'm a graphic designer. I have a degree in graphic design.
Oh, cool.
And what I do is I do posters, I do print work, any magazines or brochures, all kinds of things, logos. I also do digital art, which is digital painting on Photoshop.
Right.
So that's what I love doing it, very artsy and super surrealistic. This is actually my thing. Yes, it takes up a lot of time. Each of my poster, it can go up to 5-6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really fun. I love doing it, But it's also that thing, right? You got to feel motivated. You got to feel inspired.
Yes.
You got to keep that,
Yeah.
You got to keep motivated that inspiration right there.
Yeah. So does so does one feed the other? Do you get inspiration from doing your doing your DJ and then your graphic design? Does that inspire you that way?
Oh, 100%. If
Yeah.
I can say, that's where I started. In Brazil, back in Brazil,
Yeah.
I started doing design. I was not even studying design. I started doing posters for events,
Oh, right on.
and that's how I really started practicing and getting more knowledge about design elements and stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I started making projects for the producers to show to clients and stuff and get sponsors. So, you know what I mean? I started going step by step
Right.
until I do something big.
Right. Right.
Until I do a logo for a company, until I do a book or a magazine or something like that.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah.
And so
so the events definitely helped me a lot and got me inspired in a design perspective for sure. It was my number one inspiration.
Right on. Right on. So whereabouts are you from exactly in Brazil?
I'm from Fortaleza. It's a capital of Ceará. It's the state. It's in northeast.
Okay, northeast.
Yeah, it's a very top right of Brazil, and it's a very hot city.
Yeah.
Lots
Yeah.
of beach. It has 4 summers a year.
So summer all year round, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's the population like there?
In my city, it's up to more or less 6 to 8 million, I would say.
Wow. Wow.
It's a big city. Yeah.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. It's a huge city. We have some international flights straight to Europe. It's very big. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
unreal. So, and how long have you been up here in Vancouver now?
I've been living in Vancouver in December will be 6 years.
Right on. Yeah, it's a while now. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
So do you like
Very
Vancouver? You
fun,
like
and
the weather must be totally different for you.
It is totally different. Well, I like one thing that I don't see back in my city is the 4 seasons.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you don't see that at all.
I don't see a huge amount of rain, and I don't see huge amount of
Snow.
how can I say, a rainforest, different flowers,
Yeah.
plants. Everything there is super tropical.
Right.
Like those plants that they can resist up to 40 degrees, kind of thing.
Wow.
So they're there all year long, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, here you have so many different types of trees and plants and stuff.
Right.
It's way different, and it feels cooler in March, April. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. So it's a huge difference for me. Yes, I like it more here, weather-wise.
Yes.
I don't mind the cold and the rain.
Right.
But in my city, it's just hot all the time. That's what you expect.
Yeah, that's what you get. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what's your plans right now with as far as you're doing your DJing? You're just going to keep getting gigs and doing work because it's really busy, like you said, right now, right? There's a lot of DJing going on, right?
Yes. I believe that the DJ industry it just keeps growing. The music industry, you know what I mean? You can find great singers, great artists out there. I say that anyone can DJ, anyone can learn the techniques and stuff. But I believe, Joe, that you also have to have your own taste.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
You have to have your own touch right there. It's like a design. You
Yeah.
You see, people listen to a song or a set that you created, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so Caio. That's so like what he likes to hear."
Yeah.
Style. Same thing with a photo or a painting. So I believe it's that. It's not every single DJ has a style yet.
Right.
So I'm still discovering my own style because I love so many different types of music.
Right.
I was DJing today some Afro beats with some deep house music, you know. So I was making a fusion kind of thing, and people were like, "Oh, that sounds great," you know. And there were some times that I DJ'd and people said, "Oh my God, it's too loud, it's too heavy," you know. So yeah, I try to be always in balance. You know, it's all about the mood, right?
Yeah. You're trying to set
match the environment, your audience. You know, you cannot just go to a place and DJ anything. Right? You have to be open to different styles. You have to be open to different environments as well. That's what I believe.
That's interesting. That tells, you know, you're getting a feel for the room and a feel for the people that you're with, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and that I like that in your graphic design and stuff. That must help you when you're dealing with clients and stuff, because that way you get to read them and see where they're at and what they like and what they don't like, right?
For sure. When you're hired and you're working for a corporation, you have a few of their design perspective, you know, like the colors and their approach, if they're too heavy or if they're too plain, if they're too minimalistic or if they're too graphic. So you have a few of, you can see outdoors and posters and everything, right? Even TV ads, you can see the approach of that company, right?
Right,
so
gotcha.
It's like an artist. Every artist has an approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't like too many elements, you like small drawings, small icons, you know, you don't like to be super busy on your design, that's your style, right?
Right.
Same thing with music, and it really connects, you know, it really connects really well.
Yeah.
Like those two things. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
That is very interesting, because that you know, you can see how the two connect, right, with people in general, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
100%. 100%. And it's also I believe that the music, it made me more sociable, you know, the designs as well. The more that I meet people, the more I want to show them what I can do, you know, not only for music but for designs as well. And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know, I think music is to share, designs is to share as well. Nobody does designs or music to keep it, right? You have to show, you have to share, you have to learn and be inspired from other designs, right?
Yes.
Nowadays, people say designs and music, everything is not copied, but everything is, you copy that, but you make something different.
Right. So
right?
so like your when you're doing, like you're saying, like your shows, not one is the same, because it's, you know, you're always creating something different. So in your graphic design, you must see that too, right? Sometimes.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you never get the same thing twice, basically. I mean, you can try, but you don't. It may not be that. You know, copying is not great. You know. Not if you're creative. So, you know, something you might design might be a little different the next time around, right?
100%. Like you're always being inspired of something. You go to Pinterest, Google, Instagram. People are always posting stuff, and you feel inspired. Of course, copy is copying, right?
Yes.
But if you have your main idea, you know, you can be inspired of the other stuff around, because like most of the times, you will never have authentic idea, nothing that nobody has thought before.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite impossible that you will have an idea like that.
Right.
However, you can come up with a design that is not out there. You know?
Yes.
Because there's always a different combination. There's always a different drawing or different style. I'm going to use an example that my teacher taught me. It's like if I'm drawing a horse, and the horse is black and white, and the horse is showing the four paws and the four legs and the head, I can make the horse sideways, frontwards, backwards, you know what I mean? Colored, not colored.
Yes.
You know, I can make the horse made by hand or made a digital.
Right.
So that makes already a different horse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
about how you were inspired. Do you want to paint that horse? Do you want to take a photo of that horse? Do you want to draw that horse? So there's different ways of you showing your perspective of how that horse is going to look.
Right.
Same thing with music.
Yeah.
Same thing with music. You can match like Frank Sinatra with the Afro beats. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's
sure. Already my style, right?
Right.
So it's a mood. It's improvisation, kind of almost. You know?
Yeah, it is. It is like that for sure.
I love that. And one of my biggest inspirations for house music, I call him the father of tech house music. It's called Carl Cox.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard about him.
No.
And oh my God, he is one of the biggest DJs. And in one of his interviews, he said, "Honestly, I don't have a plan when I go DJ. I have in my pen drive 300 to 400 songs, and I feel how my audience is. And then depending on the time that I'm DJing, I'm just gonna go with the flow."
Right.
And that's, since I heard that, that's how I feel. You know, if you prepare too much, sometimes it really doesn't go how you want it to go.
Exactly.
You know, and I'd rather have more options. You know.
Yeah.
So I bring all my styles with me, and I go for it. You know.
Yeah.
I go. Sometimes I go up. Sometimes I lower down. You know, and sometimes I fire up again. So it's just a matter how you feel, right? It's mood. It's mood. I always say that. It's mood. Yeah.
That's cool. So basically, you're ever growing and ever changing, right? In your music and in your graphic design, right? So it's always growing and changing. That's good. So that must be, I mean, for yourself, that teaches you a lot. You're constantly growing and changing as a person too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I do my research. I do my homework.
Right.
You know, like I keep listening to music. You know, I keep like going through different playlists. You know, I keep getting involved with people that like what I like, so they can show me new stuff.
Oh, cool.
I learn a lot from people. You know, and I think that's the gift, is that you don't know everything.
Right.
Right.
Is there any places in the city that you go to for inspiration? Any artists in town that you talk to?
I can say yes. Not very often because of these days.
Yeah, because of what's happened with COVID. Yeah, exactly.
I do attend to different concerts. You know, when I see my favorite artists coming down to Vancouver, I try to go see them.
Yeah. How about online during COVID? Have you watched anything? Is there stuff online? There must be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so many events online, so many DJs playing online. You
Yeah.
know, during quarantine, I did an advanced DJ course as well with one of the biggest DJ teachers in Brazil.
Right.
The guy is just huge right now. You know, so I'm always trying to improve, right?
Right,
always trying to learn new techniques, always trying to follow these people and see what they're listening to, you know? And it doesn't have to be a master. It can be like, let's say, don't go too far, like Rebecca from The Bean. We have something that's huge in common. Like, she loves house music.
Right.
And she has shown me so many different DJs that I didn't know.
Right.
And nowadays I see myself DJing their songs and searching for their songs, even buying their songs.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's like you trading cards, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have this one. Yeah, you can follow me, and then I have this playlist. Oh, okay, I'm going to listen to your playlist. Listen to mine. So it's that thing, man. I think you have to be open, you know?
You do. That's true.
Type of guy. I just listen to house music. I just listen to rock music. No, it's like you have to be open to anything.
Yeah, right? And then that's true. And then like, because I know there's that one site, the Twitch site, right? I don't know if you know about it. And Twitch site has tons of DJs on it from all over the world.
100%. I did myself a few presentations there.
Yeah.
but I couldn't keep up because with Twitch, you have to have, it's like a job. You have a time to be there.
Yeah, yes.
Right? So you got to be consistent there. And I was like, DJ design work, so I kind of couldn't keep it up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard,
yeah. Page there. I have my label with Rebecca as well. We're coming back with some new events, and we're trying to boost that up and make it happen again.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, it was great talking to you. I know I see you all the time at the coffee shop, and and you just keep doing what you're doing because and I'm gonna have you back on again because I'm really interested in some of the electronic music stuff. I kind of like it. So
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you want some names, if you want some people, I can direct you to some.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah.
That are very involved in the industry. They're creating events, producing new stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would love that.
More advanced in the game than I am, and it's a pleasure talking to you, Joe.
It's great talking to you too. Alrighty, I'm gonna let you go, and it was fun talking to you. And it's Friday, so you're gonna have a good weekend, and I'll see you at work.
Absolutely, thank you so much, and I'll see you soon at the Beans. Have a good day, my friend.
Take care now.
Thank you. Bye.
So, you know what? He's a great DJ. He I haven't seen his graphic design stuff, but I hear it's really good. So you got to check Caio out. There's no doubt about it. He's got some great sample sounds and stuff if you're into DJing. And I mean, I listen to it a lot. I would like to get a little more involved because it's so popular. And I like some of it, quite frankly. So, as a musician, I actually like the music. So I'm not going to bullshit you. Anyways, this is Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing podcast for 2022. And we'll be sticking him on with Harvey together. Hopefully, I'm going to try to get that hooked up so I get him and Harvey. Harvey collects albums, and my bass player I play with in the Twitch and the Saints, and Harvey's quite a collector of albums and LPs, vinyl, basically, a good way to put it. And you can get both those together and check out the DJ, the records, and all that kind of good stuff. That's what we're going to try to put together. And that's it. Izzy Dakota Jones with our Doing podcast for 2022.